Happy Monday morning. It is time for Mindset Monday, Monday, Monday. Mindset Monday with your girl, Jeanette Smith, certified life strategist and mindset coach. Hi, IG. What's going on? They probably saw me over here. My necklace fell off. I was trying to get it. Broadcaster stuff. So anyway, I hope that you all had a great weekend. Great being either that you chilled, that you got some much needed rest, or maybe you were uber productive. There are some things that you've been wanting to move on and you finally said, hey, this is going to be the weekend I get that done. I'm going to get that closet cleaned out. I'm going to get that project started. Whatever that is, whatever a good weekend was for you, I hope that you had it and that you're staying safe and well. I am your girl, Jeanette Smith, certified life strategist and mindset coach. We come together every Monday for Mindset Monday, where I introduce something to you in the realm of positive psychology to just get you thinking about how you do what you do, how you're doing life, and how you can make better decisions for better living. That's what I'm all about. Finding and following our purpose and making better decisions for better living. And it's a track that we are all on together. We are all ever in a place of learning. So hello across all the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and IG. What's up to you? Shouting out IG, Monique, Danielle, Tamara, the candy shop. Kev is in the house. Long time no see, brother. Glad to have you on. For those of you who are on IG and you want to see the graphics that I'll be sharing today, because I am sharing some information as we talk about this area of acceptance. And I don't want you to miss out if that's something that you would want to take screenshots of or, just kind of experience fully. So thanks for the hearts on IG. I love you. Let's go to the chats over here we'll start with Facebook. Hello, Michael. Good to see you. I'm doing great. Good to always have you in the room. Michelle's in the house. She is here for it. For Mindset Meeting, you got off to a video meeting. I understand. Get it in. Miss Helen is in the house. Good morning to you. Hello, Jeremiah. Good morning. I'm looking forward to your amplified broadcast a little later. Miss Leola, good to have you on. Good to have you on. Everybody's in the house. So just quickly, before we get to our topic for today, I couldn't start without acknowledging the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Man, what a brilliant and bright, shining light. I can't even, when you think about all the work that was still ahead for him, there was a Black Panther 2 that was already on his IMDb. There's some other movies that were already scheduled. But beyond the movies, that he was somebody who thought it not robbery to continue visiting cancer patients, himself being a cancer patient, and none of us knowing it, but that he was out there visiting the children, doing philanthropy. I watched a video where he was, trying to get people registered to vote and get PPC equipment out to areas where mostly brown and Black people were being underserved in that way. Just a great philanthropist. And so I just wanted to take a moment to, again, share what most of you all have been sharing, is just love for his work, love for the person that he was, and love for what he stood for. He was a hero, an icon, and a legend. Thank you for JP Design for this lovely, beautiful piece of work that you can find on Instagram. But I think that it's okay to stop and honor and miss and feel the loss of somebody who was a bright light bearer in the world. That's what we all strive to be. And so he was definitely a great model for that. And I see all the hearts pouring in. I see all the comments pouring in. Perfect example of living your ministry. You got that right. A lesson to us all. Yep. Hey, on Periscope, I see you, Dr. Walter Sims. Great to have you in the room. So on that note, one of the last things that Chadwick Boseman posted on Instagram was about our duty, really, to vote, to get out and to vote. And so I'm mulling over some things. Those of you who are really into social justice, civic duty, and civic engagement, I'm going to be making a clarion call out for you, because I think I want to do a voter registration, kind of like telethon, but streamathon. We'll play music, we'll make it fun, but we got to get everybody registered to vote. Everything you need to know about voting is on vote.org. You are able to go and figure out, are you registered? You're able to see where you're registered, where your polling place is, which is really important for this election because stuff is moving and changing. So you want to make sure you know where to vote. If you're not comfortable going to the polls and vote and you want to do the mail-in vote, you can get your information and make sure you get your absentee ballot in. For those of you, and my sister, Reverend Riri, raised this in church yesterday, if you don't know how to read, there's some of us, we're at all different levels. If you have a hard time with reading and you need somebody to fill that out, that's why I want to do a drive. So I'm going to be reaching out to my sister, Reverend Ada Renee, some other people that I know, my church, your church, whatever. It's not I got to own this thing. Everybody needs to vote. So if we can all work together and we come on a live stream and we share and we provide volunteers to get people signed up, that's what I want to do. So y'all be thinking about that. Is that something you want to get involved with? Michelle says she signed up to be an election judge. That's awesome. Michael said he has checked in and he is ready to vote. Great, great, great. Hello, Annette. Hello, Savalas. That's the important thing. If you want to honor Chadwick Boseman's memory, be about what he was about. And he was about walking what you talk. So we got to get out there and make sure that we vote. Okay. Thank you all for hearing me on that. And I know that, it can be tough because we're inundated with that a lot, but I just want to make sure that we do not pump the brakes on making change in our country. Mindset Monday means nothing if you get all this good information about how to make better decisions for better living, but we don't change our community and the world around us. You can't just change yourself on the inside. It should reflect in some sort of corresponding action where we can see the results of change on the outside. That's what the Empowerment Tribe is about. So I hope that you all would join me. All right, let's get to our topic for today. Our topic for today, I thought it was interesting. I think a lot of you thought it was interesting too, by some of the inboxes and things that I got, just like cool, whoa, all that kind of stuff. So when we're talking about acceptance, I want to make sure that we lay the groundwork. All right. And let me start by reciting a prayer. Yeah, it's called the Serenity Prayer. And most of you have heard of it. It was made popular by the 12-step AA program. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Remember that one? Grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things that I cannot change. Right? The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. On some level, we all know how important it is to accept the things that we cannot change, don't we? We know that. But what research is showing us is that most of our experiences validate, and our experiences do validate this, is that our willingness to accept the unchangeable has everything to do with our emotional and our psychological well-being. So don't beat yourself up if you find it hard to accept circumstances, situations, persons, their stuff, your stuff, even self-acceptance, right? And I'm going to get to that in a little bit too, because it has everything to do with your emotional and your psychological well-being. Whether we're talking about a financial crisis, a health diagnosis, the loss of an important relationship, or any other kind of anticipated or unanticipated or unpleasant event, fighting what is not going to make it so. Not all the time. You can affect change where you can affect change, but first you have to accept what you're stepping up against. So instead, when we do battle with reality in a way that's unhealthy. We cripple our capacity to cope with the situation, to understand and learn from the situation, and manage all those emotions that we experience in response to it. So today, my hope is that we'll look at acceptance as not a weak thing that we do, but as something that helps us, fortifies us, empowers us to learn, to grow, and to have peace in the midst of what's unpeaceful, and find the balance about, like the Serenity Prayer says, the courage to change the things that we can. All right. So let's start with a good morning. Good morning. Let's start with I guess a definition would be good, because when we talk about acceptance, I understand that many of us get shook about what it is and what it's not. What is it and what is it not, right? Because sometimes people go, I'm not accepting that. I'm not, right? And I get it. I get why you would say that. So for those of you who are and know what we're about, and you want to be a part of the Share Squad, this is your time. This is your time to share, because I know there's plenty of people out there that need to understand and be able to get on this train about how to, manage acceptance in their life. So that's what we're going to do. Now's your time to share. Hopefully you're getting it out there, get all the hearts and minds in the room so we can have this great discussion. I want you to think about, as I pull up the definition, what is an area in your life where you might struggle with acceptance, where you might struggle with acceptance. Think about that place. And if you're willing to share, put it in the chat. I mentioned a couple of things: health, financial crisis, unpleasant events, relationships, whatever that is. Just think about that. Put that in the chat. You don't have to be, you don't have to overshare if it's going to be that kind of a thing. You can be a little clandestine and a little coverage over that. But let me share also, when we dig deeper into the thought about acceptance and we talk about self-acceptance, because that's one of the things that most people struggle with. According to psychology today, true acceptance is embracing who you are without any qualifications, conditions, or exceptions, right? True self-acceptance is embracing who you are without any qualifications, conditions, or exceptions. All right. Now, when you think about that, how often have we been challenged in those areas? Because by that definition, it's not enough to simply just embrace all that's good and valuable or positive about yourself, but it's also about embodying and embracing the less desirable stuff, the negative stuff, the ugly parts of you, right? So you got to embrace the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we know that that's not always easy to do. We desperately want to change things about ourselves all the time. All of us do. I can't think of one person who says, nope, there's nothing about me I want to grow in. There's nothing. And if they are, they're oblivious or narcissists by clinical definition. Because most times, most people who are self-aware do have areas about themselves that they want to grow and they want to develop. But the difference is, you have to accept where you are and who you are and what you are before you start talking about, what do I need to change? So when you truly embrace by self-acceptance, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then you can deal with those counterintuitive things that kind of come up, right? Because you have to, again, truly accept yourself. Then you can begin a meaningful process of self-improvement. Many times what happens is people will get feedback, or they'll do whatever. They'll get negative feedback or constructive criticism about who they are or being or behaving like, or what actions they're taking and how that impacts others. And they'll make change just to suit the immediate concern or threat. But that's not meaningful and deep change, right? That's not what that is. When we self-accept, we go, you know what, I might need to really work on those areas. But then we have to acknowledge honestly the undesirable traits that we have and those habits. I mean, you have to be willing to call yourself on that. What is that? What is that about? Right? And so don't worry, I am not going to ask you all to lay out all your faults and your flaws today on social media, but I just want you to identify this area or areas of your life where you have had struggle around acceptance. We're going to give 5 tips to get into it. 5 tips to help us move through it in a more empowered and a more thoughtful way and a more grace-filled way. All right. So Candace says she needs help in the area of dealing with non-Christian friends. Well, friends that aren't into church as much as she is into. Okay. And I'm going to say, Candace, you probably mean faith. I think church and your activities around church have to do with your faith. And so when they challenge you being involved with things with church, it's really, you feel like an attack on your faith and who you are becoming and growing into, because, you know, whatever your faith foundation is, that becomes a huge part of who you are, right? So I'm just talking to you in terms of your language, because for some people, Candace, the word church triggers a whole bunch of stuff. People have been hurt in church where they would accept faith. People have seen criminal stuff go down in church, but that has nothing to do with faith, right? And so that's just something for you to think about as you have those types of conversations. Michael says, well, he's scribing for me. We're talking acceptance. Narisha said, I logged into the right one today. I'm so glad to see you, sis. Thanks for being on. So let's talk about it. Where I don't see anybody listing anything out. Listen, Candace said, you don't have to give the big one. But if you know that you have an area where acceptance is an issue, can you at least just type that's me? Because if everybody's good, then we don't need to do this topic today, right? But if you know that you have some work in some area of acceptance, just type that's me. You don't even have to say what it is anymore. And we're going to get to our tips. All right. So let's talk about, hey, Pamela Williams, good to see you, love. And Pamela Gill, y'all rolled in together, the dynamic duo. Let's talk about these tips. The first one, no one is suggesting that you like, want, or support whatever it is that you're accepting. Okay? Do you all understand that? Because you accept something, it doesn't mean that you support, like, or even want it. Think about Chadwick Boseman, right? He had to accept his diagnosis of stage 3 colon cancer. And then he had, from what I understand, chemo, surgeries, and things to do, but he lived. He continued to live. And he lived in a way where none of us knew until the weight loss that something was going on. That's the type of acceptance we're talking about. It doesn't mean you like it, you want cancer, you support it, or whatever the situation is. It just means that you accept where it is right now. But by struggling against the pain, by resisting and rejecting it, we create more undue struggling and suffering, right? I know that I dealt with that, way back in the early 2000s when my father himself was going through colon cancer. I could not wrap my mind around a world without my father in it. And I had a lot of suffering and struggling in 2002 around him having a terminal disease. So that took me a minute. It doesn't mean that you like anxiety and that you want to be in that place of anxiousness or chronic pain or whatever it is that you're suffering with. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means that you would choose your body or support an injustice that's happened to you or somebody else. We're not saying that you're doing that. Rather, you're choosing to allow it to be there and understand this is just where it is right now. I might not be able to change it in this moment, to make space for it. You have to give yourself permission to accept the right now, the present. And I know people go, well, I don't want to claim that. And I don't want to, I don't want to, if I do that, that makes it real, but it is real. It doesn't mean it can't change, but for right now, that's what's real. And the suffering that comes when we don't take stock of the truth of the present moment, right? So we have to make space for it. We have to make space for it and give ourselves permission to be as we are. Feel what you feel. Experience what you're experiencing. Don't get into that spiral of creating unproductive shame and anxiety, because you can bear the pain. That's the other reason we don't accept, is we don't want to feel the pain. You're strong enough. You can handle it. You will move through it, right? But don't create more suffering for yourself by resisting or being in a place of, I don't want to say delusion, but where you just resist accepting the truth of the present moment. Not saying that it has to be for always, but that is the present moment. All right. Now, I want you all to think about right now, take a moment. And I see you in the chat. Neil said, that's me. Pam said, that's me. That's me. That's me. Acceptance or rejection. Yep. I understand, Michelle. Pamela Gill says me. Neil says me. That's it. You feel like because you're evolving, they seem to think you're a disease or something. It becomes what you, not you, church girl, or here comes the church girl, makes me feel I totally get that, because I'm Candace. I've evolved Candace. They all run to me when they need prayers or positivity, but they shun me on the other hand. Confusion for me. I get it. I get the struggle. I guess I don't know what language you use with them. And so just and that's a point that you can make to them, Candace, like, but y'all come to me when you want the light that's in me, but you want me to unplug from the source. I can't do that. You have to love all of me. And then Candace, you have to make some decisions about the relationships too. Miss Helen says, that's me. Leola says, that's me. Yep. It can be tough when we get to those spaces and places where we believe that by accepting something, we have to like it, want it, or support it. Are we clear? That's not what that means. You can take that one off the table. All right. You can number one should help you take that off the table. It's not saying that you sign up for the package, you want it, you want to keep it. That's not what that means. It just means that you accept the present situation, right? The fact about it. Not the truth is still to be determined. All right. Let's look at number 2. I know that today can be a day of deep reflection and thought. So as you all are going through it, if you feel some things triggering, anything like that, I will take connect calls today, 15-minute connect calls. The information on how to get me is in the post. So just reach out, either JeanetteSmith.com or through the website, so that we can kind of walk you through that. Because even though you're hitting a trigger, that is your sign. Hey, I need some attention in this area. Hey, I need to do some work in this area. So I don't want you to not pay attention to it, but I do want you to get the help that you need. Okay. Let's look at number 2. Number two. Remember that accept is a verb. It's an active process, one that has to be practiced consciously. It's rare that we one day choose to accept our emotional or physical pain in our bodies, or a difficult relationship, or something out of our past, and then never think about it again. This can require effort at times, more than one time usually, and it can be frustrating, but like creating a clearing in the grass of a field by walking the same path back and forth. Every time you practice acceptance towards something, you create and strengthen your neural pathways in your brain, which helps facilitate at ease in the future. It's natural to vacillate back and forth between feelings of acceptance and feelings of resistance. It can be tiring, but you have to make space for the spectrum of the experience and notice your internal critic getting quieter. Let me tell you how a situation from my former life kind of played into this example. When I was in news, I wrote some of the scripts, but in a whole, if I'm anchoring an hour newscast, I don't writing all the scripts. So you would have different producers, different writers, and sometimes they would be seasoned producers and writers, and sometimes they would be new college kids. And so just depending on what market I was. Now that changed as I went up the market, but the fact that I was sitting on that desk, tethered and live in front of, all of Atlanta, all of Dallas, or, when I was doing entertainment, all of the world, and somebody's script comes up missing words and those types of things, I had to accept that that was a position I might be in from time to time. I hated that sense of helplessness and vulnerability, and nobody's going to know your name when I mess up. That was a line I used to go, look, nobody's going to know your name when I sit up there going, they don't know Becky wrote this script or Gerard wrote this script. They just know Jeanette can't read or Jeanette can't talk. So I hated that. But once I accepted this is a part of the job, I actually got better at reading and being able to interpret and flow between the lines and being able to make up and ad lib and kind of flow in the moment, because I wasn't spending my energy struggling against, this isn't fair, this isn't right, why is this happening to me? I know that's a very specific type of example, but it's one from my life. I hope that makes sense to you. Are there places where you feel vulnerable, where you feel at the mercy of others, and for whatever reason, you struggle against fighting about the unfairness of that versus wanting to just jump in and handle it and deal with it? Again, we go back to Chadwick Boseman. He had cancer. He didn't stop making movies. He dealt with and accepted where he was in his health and did what he needed to do from a physical standpoint, but he kept living. Let's go to the chats. Neil says, for me, it was acceptance because of my birth and childhood. I was pushed away, and the negative surrounding my birth, etc., was ascribed to me and not those involved. As I grew, I had to learn that it was not me and my fault, but it was and is a process to move forward. That's why the Empowerment Tribe has become so important and necessary good for me. Acceptance, self-acceptance is huge. And, we talked about it. It can manifest your need for it in different ways. Neil, our heart goes out to you. When people pin fault on a child for how they got here, it's not that child's fault. And I can understand why that is something that you would have to be in a process to deal with, because the people closest to you and around you that should love you and give you support weren't able, and for whatever reason, to do that for you. And it's unfortunate, but I do know this, that you are strong and you will make it happen. You'll come out of that. You'll make it happen. All right. So remember on number 2 here, y'all, that acceptance is a verb. That means you will actively be engaged in that. And don't beat yourself up when it's something you have to go through again and again and again. Practice it. Just like I had to practice. Listen, that's not the kind of weight I wanted to lift in front of the world, lifting weights, making mistakes on camera because people's scripts weren't together, or scripts would come up missing altogether, or pitch to this live shot, but you don't have any information. You just have to accept it, settle in it, and allow yourself the grace to be in that learning curve. Let me just take a moment here. Part of why acceptance is hard for us is because we want to present as perfect in the world. This goes back to our imposter syndrome. If you haven't watched that, please go back and watch that one. The imposter syndrome says you have to be perfect, all things to all people, a hero, an expert, a perfectionist. You don't. No, you're human. You're a human being. You're allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to have standards and banners so that you aspire and continue to grow. But when you choose to be perfect Polly or perfect Paul and you don't make any mistakes, then self-acceptance becomes really harder. And you're probably harder on other people, because if you're not very accepting of self, you're probably hard on other people too. All right. Annette says, yes. Okay. All right. Let's get back to it. We are on number three. Savala says, I am learning to embrace my Clark Kent. Yes. Embrace your Clark Kent. Embrace him. Embrace him. Because if there was no Clark Kent, there was no Superman. I think we forget that. It's our flawed and our quirky sides that allow and enable us to be the great that's in us. That's a great example. Thanks for raising that, Savalas. There is no Superman without Clark Kent. So you can't be super you without embracing all of you. All right. Let us go back to our tips. Number three. Acceptance doesn't mean that you don't work on changing stuff. Okay? Acceptance doesn't mean that you can't work on changing things. Many people believe that acceptance is some sign of apathy. Like, oh, if I accept it, that means you quit. It's passive. You gave up. That's not true. You're not relinquishing agency. However, it doesn't have to be the case. When you practice acceptance, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to be able to make a change, right? It just means that you can accept your body and still change it. I say body because many of us have body image issues or relationship issues, whatever it is. Accept whatever it is, accept your emotions around it, acknowledge their impermanence, and accept your behavior. One day, you might be able to change it tomorrow. You might be able to change it tomorrow. Go back to the serenity prayer. Remember, God grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. When you practice acceptance, you're not saying I quit, I lay down. That's not what you're saying. What you're saying is, I accept that this is the way it is now. Let me see what I can do about it moving forward. This gets tougher when you're dealing with people, and the change that you need to see, like Candace's example, is in other people, or Michelle's example. Sometimes, it's the rejection of others. You can't do anything about that. You can only be you. You can learn how to be a good friend, a good partner, a good whatever. What are the qualities that universally would endear somebody to you? Are you loving and supportive? Do you provide growth when you're around? Are you talking about things that grow, or are you negative all the time? If you're always negative, if you're always this, you might be repelling people, and it has nothing to do with who you are. It's just how you present, right? Do you bring light? Are you a source of comfort? Do you have insights on whatever? Do you make people feel good about themselves? Like all of these types of things. Those are things that you can flip. You can recognize, you know what, I've been going through a rough period. I may have needed to just kind of take some me time, step back. And when I re-engage, Yeah. But accept that you need some me time. Accept that you're having a hard time. Know when you need to go off the grid. It's perfectly acceptable to say, I need some me time, particularly light bearers. There's times we all have to do it. I have to do it. You seemingly have an endless supply to give, but that's not true. You have to continually refuel. So just know, when you say I'm accepting something, you're not being weak, you're not being apathetic, you're not being passive. It's just saying, I accept that right now, and I'm just using this as an example. You use the example that works best for you. Right now, I don't have it to give. Accept that. Tell the truth about it. I'm tired. If you don't, you keep showing up not in your authentic self. And you think that people won't accept that you get tired or that you need rest. I can think of a handful of people right now that if they would just admit when they're tired, take the real breaks that they need, they could come back and perform 200% better than they do showing up on half that little battery they got going on. But because they're committed to just being there, stick and stay, that's all you're going to get. And we're never going to get the best out of you. We're not, until you choose you. I sent you all, those of you that are in the empowerment tribe, I sent you all a text. What you need and what you want matters. Make it matter. Right? Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Monique says, loving these insights. Annette says, accept my past and my body. Yes, yes. Yeah, and that's even something I've struggled with, because I came out of an industry that was all about your looks and your this and that. So we all, listen, there are things that we all deal with, we all struggle with, right? So don't think you're in this all alone. All right, let's get back to our tips. That's number 3. Number 4, we got 2 to go. Acceptance doesn't mean you're accepting it's going to be that way forever. It's kind of what I was talking about on the last one. Try to focus your acceptance on the present, right? With a realistic gaze into the future. If you focus too much on the present circumstance, it can be counterproductive. Okay? Because a large part of acceptance involves letting go the desire that things are different. You remember I told you just before I made a huge change in my career, I heard God speak this to me. Making change is never as difficult as accepting change. Acceptance. Making change is never as difficult as accepting that change has to be made, right? It's all about acceptance and letting go of the desire that I wish this was different. It is what it is right now. You can still wish it to be different. Focus that in your future gaze and see if there's something that can be done about it from out there. But when you don't accept the truth about where you are, how you're being, how you're behaving, what your relationship statuses are, what your health is, that's one thing that, and mommy, I love you. I know you're watching. That's one thing that I've had to learn to accept about my father's passing, as we talk about Chadwick Boseman. My father died of colon cancer. And he had symptoms, but he didn't tell us until it was too late. Right? And there are times when I go back and I'm mad. I get angry at him. Like, sir, you were in the military. You did that every year. Why? But that's that stick and stay, be there, do whatever. And I love my father. This is nothing about or against my father, but I raise this to you all to say, don't be in denial about present circumstances. Yes, it doesn't feel good to think that there might be something going on in your body that you don't want to know about. But I promise you this, early detection can save lives. Early addressing of your finances can save you a bankruptcy. early addressing stuff going on in your relationship and you just accepting it as being, that's just how we are because it's been that way for a while. When it's deteriorating and you don't even realize it, you got to accept what's presenting. And then you can change it. Then you can change it. When he says, uh-oh, I'm guilty of this. Then you can change it. That whole wish it will go away in a minute thing doesn't work. Being an ostrich and sticking your head down in the sand, it doesn't work. And I know, I feel the energy shifting. I know this is heavy, y'all. But if we don't talk about it, then you might not make change. And maybe what we're talking about today, if it's not for you, it's for a replay viewer or somebody that you shared with on your page, will see this and go, you know what? I have to accept the situation so that I can change it. I have to accept the situation so I can change it. Savala says the same thing happened with my dad, and it took me a while to release his pride and not telling us, and became my struggle after he passed. I'm okay now. Yeah, I'm okay now too. Because at the end of the day, everybody has their own path to live and their own decisions to make. But just know that your decisions don't just impact you. They impact everyone around you and everybody who cares about you. Right? So my hope is, I wish I had my bowl here right now. My hope is that you all will see this for the loving heads up that it is. There's something in your life that needs changing. So let's just accept that. And let's not, as Pam says, be an ostrich sticking your head in the sand. Let's go ahead and deal with it. You are strong enough to deal with it. God will bring you people to help you deal with it. If you will open up, not be the perfectionist, not try to be the perfect person, admit that you have something you need to deal with. And yeah, you can deal with it. We can deal with it. Everybody breathe in through your nose. Hold it out through your mouth. Yeah, I know. But we're here to make better decisions for better living and long life. Long life. All right? Imagining things will never change can be daunting and overwhelming. So don't get stuck in that either. That's why you have to acknowledge what is, but then you go on the quest for, but what can be different? Chadwick Boseman saw what was, and he made a change. He decided to continue to make movies, to not sit down. He did all he could with what he could. And 3 movies were back to back. Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame all came back to back. So that means he was constantly in martial arts training back to back to back to back to back to back. Think about what that was doing. And maybe that's what helps sustain him, all that exercise and stuff. Who knows? Your decision to live, your decision to push through, your decision may be the thing that saves you. So don't let your current circumstance be your final destination. Gaze outwardly. What change can you make? Right? Don't get overwhelmed by it. Keep that healthy hope that either the situation or the circumstance will change, or at least you're going to change, and that will shift its impact on you. Very, very, very important. Thank you for your courage to encourage. Thank you, Neil. All right, our last tip today, our last tip, last tip today, last one. We can practice acceptance toward our experiences, people, appearances, emotions, and ideas, and more. We can practice this. Acceptance can be practiced in all the areas of your life. You can exercise it toward a current experience or reality, others' beliefs or ideas. Candace, when we were talking about friends and stuff, your appearance, your emotions, your health, your past, your thoughts, or other individuals. It doesn't mean you necessarily endorse whatever it is. Remember, It's just that you recognize you can't change the current nature at this exact moment. And accepting manages anxiety and helps keep you calm. I encourage you to consider how acceptance has benefited your life in the past and how you can practice this more in the future. Especially when it comes to self-acceptance and what you will allow yourself the grace and space to grow in, develop in, or just understand that that's always going to be a growing edge, or that's always going to be a lesser strength. Because true acceptance is embracing who you are without any qualifications, any conditions, or exceptions. I love and accept you just the way you are. So I hope that you will love and accept yourself just the way you are. Let's tap it out. This is an exercise for those of you who are new to me that we do to help alleviate the fight and flight hormones that can rise up in us when we start talking about things that make us nervous. Some of you are self-sabotaging right now, some things that you need to be doing, some things you had committed to. It's easy to just fade to black on stuff. Don't do that. Accept what it is, step up and deal with it. You can do it. And if you can't do it alone, get some help. If you can't do it alone, get some help. That's what we're here for. If you just kind of need a tribe, join the Empowerment Tribe on Facebook. Our Facebook group, our folks are very supportive, and it's done with healthy boundaries in a way where people feel seen, loved, and supported. We share things that encourage us. We have continued conversations about what we do on the stream in the Facebook group. So just go to facebook.com/groups and /empowerment tribe. I also have a text group where I send out positive texts, things to help lift your spirits, also give you information on pop-up things that I might be doing. All you have to do is text the word release to 22999 to join that tribe. And then otherwise, if you need coaching, private or group coaching, you may want to join one of our men's or women's groups. Our men's group meets tonight, so you'd be right on time. All you have to do is go to my website, JeanetteSmith.com. You can sign up and you can take part in our men's group tonight. They're a fine group of fellas, and we get it done. And the ladies, they're outstanding as well. So one-to-one coaching, I also do that as well. So you can go to my website for any of that. But let's not let that be an excuse that, you've tried it before, it didn't work or whatever. Nope. This is the season 2020 where everything has shifted. Our whole world has shifted. So why not you? Let's shift how we used to handle things. Let's shift in this area of not accepting ourselves and others. Let's shift in this area of being willing to accept, by God's grace, with serenity, the things that we can't change. Grow in courage to change the things that we can, and wisdom so that we know the difference. All right, let's tap it out. Tapping is emotional freedom technique. It taps on certain meridian points in your body so that as you're tapping, you're soothing them, you're calming them down. When you're in fight and flight, you're breathing. But when you tell your body, no, we don't have to run from a lion or a tiger or a bear, and you're breathing slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth. When you tap on a baby, when a baby's crying and has anxiety, or they're trying to communicate something that doesn't feel good to them, we rub on them, we tap on them. So just follow me. Even though I may feel some anxiety about acceptance in certain areas, I love and accept myself. How easy that is. Just tap. Just tap, 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 tap. Even though I feel anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Yeah. Your forehead. Even though I feel anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Under your eyes, even though on that bone, even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Mommy, are you tapping? Under your nose. Even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Under your lip, on your chin. Even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Now, your collarbone right here. Even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Yes, yes. Now, 3 inches under your armpit. Even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Yes. Yep. And then the very top of your head. Even though I have anxiety about a circumstance or situation, I love and accept myself. Yep. Now, for those of you who are in the Empowerment Tribe, I will do a guided meditation for us to continue kind of moving through that. I do feel it's a little lighter, so that's good. I'm glad you all went with it. Listen, what you're feeling is just a signal and a sign that yes, that's you. You need to address something. You need to give yourself more attention in that area. So it's not a bad thing. That's what you want. You don't want to walk around like, I don't know what's going on. You want the opportunity to make change, right? Leola says, I love Mindset Monday. Great class. Teaches me so much about me and helps me to be honest with myself. That is what we want. Miss Leola, goodness, that is what it's all about. For you to say that means everything. Means everything. And listen, I realize that there are some of these Mindset Mondays, you all miss. Now, you can go back to my Facebook page and try to scroll through and find all that stuff. But let me encourage you to also go to my YouTube page, because all the videos, all of them from the beginning, all of them are here. So you can go back and not just the Mindset Mondays, but I mean, everyone from the devotionals to things that I didn't even do on here, other talks that I've had. This is a podcast interview that I've done with other people. There's talks that I've done in colleges and different things that are on here to keep you inspired. So go to youtube.com/Jeanette Smith. You see it there, and subscribe. I also am asking for your support on YouTube, because new restrictions are coming. For those who want to live stream from your mobile phone, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. Now, currently, I come to you all on my desktop. It's not a problem. But as the world begins waking back up and doing things, I don't want to be limited in how I'm able to bring you information and how I want to stream. So if you would help me out with that, just go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Many of you are. And for that, I thank you. I'm putting the link out there into the chats, so you should be able to see it. And just go and subscribe, and get your friends to subscribe for me. If you don't mind, share a video with them, and maybe it'll be something that inspires them and they'll be compelled to. I know that we have not because we ask not. So I'm asking, Tribe, for your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's another way that you help me continue to do the work that I'm called to do. And it means the world to me for you to show up in that way. Coming up, we have our Wednesday release devotional, 10 o'clock for men and women here. And then on Fridays, we do our live coaching again, where we take this topic that we did today and we kind of wrap it into a fun little game called Points of View. So hopefully you all will continue the work this week. Make some observations. Write down how you notice acceptance is playing a role in your life this week. How are those things working out? What insights have you gotten? What things are you paying more attention to now? Are you doing what you need to do to honor the feelings that you have, and dealing with others. How does acceptance roll out in your life this week? Let's get her. Yes, thank you, Neil. How does acceptance, I was really interested in hearing from you all on Friday. And if some of you want to come on the show, whether it's just your voice or on video, that'd be great too. Let's do that. I always love the interaction and hearing from you all. So this is our Mindset Monday. Listen, take it in stride. Know that your light can't shine as bright when we don't accept the lower level things about ourselves. Because when you accept them, then you can work on them. But if you deny they're there, if you pretend like you're Gucci good, top to bottom, nothing to work on, you will never get to experience the fullness of who you could be, empowered in every way, because you not only present your best side, but you accept and you work on those things that you can change so that you can be the best you. Oh yeah, and hi mom. Neil says hi mom. That's so funny to me. All right, love you all to life. Have a great day, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Oh, and the rest of you, Empowerment Tribe, I'll see you all over in our group. And those of you who want to join us over there. Empowerment, it's facebook.com/groups/Empowerment Tribe, and we'll do a quickie meditation to seal out the work that we've done here today. All right. Love you all to life. See you. I'll be alive.